Hello and welcome to this gentle feel-good flow for all levels. It is 20 minutes and this is a really lovely groovy movie flow, so make it your own and come to a seat. Anything that's comfortable for you, maybe a cross-legged or a little frog, or if you need to sit with your legs out in front of you, that's also absolutely fine. And you're just going to start off by feeling out the body, taking little micro shifts through the structure and not worrying too much about where you're placing yourself. You're just investigating what's happening. And I'd like you to start working with the idea of curves. So start to move into curves. And then you're going to start making yourself a little bit bigger and roll those curves almost in one direction for a little bit. So nice big circles, and then change the direction when you're ready. Getting into the shoulders and the head, even the elbows and the hands and the wrists. Feeling out those round spaces. And then come back to a sense of sitting. And we're going to take ourselves into some contractions and extensions, still working with this idea of moving into curves or round spaces. So really moving through the spine. I'll change direction so you can see. There you go, rolling back and rolling forward. So the spine rounds. Maybe you want to move into the shoulders and the head, and then the spine extends and you open the arms. Inviting all that sense of curvature, of roundness, of spirals, all the way through this flow. And letting the movement spill over. So we're not so much looking for shapes or positions, we're really feeling it out through the whole body. Then walk your hands forward and take yourself into a gentle forward fold. And sway the body, move the head, wiggle out the shoulders, and notice how that movement travels down into the pelvis. Maybe the hips start to feel a little bit of that curvature, that round space. Alright, come back up to sit and change your legs if you were sitting cross-legged, or stay in your little butterfly, or stretch legs, whichever is more comfortable. And you're just starting to reach from side to side, almost like you've got people pulling you or something pulling you from left to right. And imagine that your arms are really growing long out of the body. And then start to move into side bends, still working with that idea of round space and investigating as you rock from side to side, reach from side to side. What you can do here, just to get a little bit more stretch into the side body, is anchor your sitting bones down to the floor. But take some license to explore those side bends. And then come back to a sense of sitting and see if you can just take a moment of stillness. Just listen to what might be happening as you feel your head on top of your shoulders, shoulders on top of your pelvis. Just noticing any sensations in the body. Of that seat, take a foot across the knee and start to circle out your ankle. So the focus is very much on the ankle joint, but let the movement travel through the rest of the body. You might find that your head starts to circle or your upper spine starts to rock. Change direction of those ankle circles. then stretch that leg out in front of you, and you're going to just almost like roll over the top of the knee with the hands, creating, again, working with that circular kind of motion, curvy shapes, just rubbing the knee. And again, noticing the rest of the body. And then shake out the thigh using the palms of your hands. Wiggle, 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 and then pat the thigh all the way down to the foot and back up the leg. Just gentle little pats. Pat, 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 pat. And then a long stroke all the way down the leg towards the foot. You can make this as vigorous or as gentle as you prefer. And then we change onto the other leg. So cross that foot across the knee and start to circle out the ankle. Let the movement travel up the rest of the body. Try and find a sense of pleasure in this. So you don't have to work really hard or anything. You're just inviting some extra little movement into those spaces. Then rub over that knee. Can again make it as vigorous or as gentle as you need. Circles, spirals over the knee joint. Then shimmy up the thigh. Use the palm of the hands. Place a little bit of pressure into the hands. And then a gentle pat all the way down the leg, up and down the leg. Pat, 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 pat. And then long strokes all the way from the top of the thigh down the leg. Down the leg. Good. And maybe you can do both legs at the same time, once or twice. And then shake out the legs in front of you, give them a nice little shimmy, nice and loose. And we'll come to sit on the pelvis. You're going to place your hands behind you with your fingertips facing your pelvis. And you're going to start rolling through the shoulders. So this is very much happening in the shoulder joint and the upper back. Your head will respond. And remember that we're working with this idea of curves and spirals and circles. So get creative with it and just watch if you're locking into specifics. There's nothing really too specific about this, other than the intention to roll through the shoulders. The rest of the body just comes along for the ride. It's really groovy. Alright, and then maybe experiment with some spirals from side to side, some twists. And what happens if you soften into the shoulders and press out of the shoulders? Maybe move the hands a little bit further behind you. You're going to roll your head back and let it rest into the nest of your shoulder girdle. Okay, so quite heavy with the head. Then use your abdominals to round your spine and your head will rock forward. A little bit of movement here and there, a little shake, rock the head back, let it rest. And then abdominals draw you forward, head rolls forward last. Little shimmy if you need. And then one last time, roll the head back, sink and soften into the shoulder girdle. Abdominals bring the head forward. And a little shimmy if you like. Okay. We're going to move into another forward fold, just allowing the crown of the head to soften towards the feet. Your arms are behind you and your palms are towards the ceiling. Please don't worry about how far forward you fold, just go to where you can get to. And again, find a sense of stillness here. Allowing the breath to flow easily. And keep the head low and sweep your arms forward, palms up towards the sky again. And indulge in the breath. Let it move and flow. Let the body rest for a moment. Rolling yourself back up to sit, and we'll move through some windscreen wipers of the legs. So open your feet up as wide as your mat And a reminder that this movement really comes from the pelvis, so move the pelvis in order for the legs to shift. Nice and easy, exploring out the hips. Then make your way into your 4-point base. And again, we're going to keep this quite open and explorative. You're starting to just groove through the spine in this 4-point base position. There's no specifics that you're looking for. You're moving through those curvy spaces, into those round spaces. So imagine your bones creating lovely groovy circles. And explore all those edges, all the possibilities within the spine. How the head responds to all of that. And then we'll move through some more kind of traditional cats and cows, but still keeping the idea of exploring the shapes. So you can shift your weight forward and back, you can shake out your head, you can wag your tail, but we're moving through that cat and cow. So extending and flexing the spine. Notice how the shoulders roll. Find as much space and movement through all the joints as you can. Then reach the arms forward, take your pelvis back towards your heels. And you can take another gentle groove, just exploring that child's pose. Or if you prefer, you can also stay still here, take a moment, let the body settle. And feel space being created between the bones. And rest the forehead as close to the floor as you can and breathe deeply. Letting the weight of the body just surrender down into the ground. Noticing any sensations. And we'll move back into this kind of forearm base. So same idea, you're exploring the movement of the spine now with your forearms on the floor. Notice how the head responds, the pelvis changes. You can rock forwards and backwards, take some weight into the shoulder girdle. You can make big circles and let the movement travel through the whole structure. So letting go of the idea of creating shapes and positions. We're not looking for that. We're looking for space, generating space. Okay, coming back into that forearm balance. Now just aim a little bit to keep the shoulder girdle on top of the elbows a bit more. You're going to free up one leg and you're really going to explore with that leg. Okay, so feel what happens in the hip joint, stretch and bend the knee, take it out behind you and to the side, up to the ceiling. You're just playing, driving with that lifted leg. And the rest of the body comes along for the ride. We'll change legs. You can put a little bit more energy into your abdominal space just so that you know that your lower back is protected and you're active. So we're not hanging into anything, we're really still quite alive. It's a very ooey gooey groove here. Alright, good. Okay, I hope that felt good. You're going to tuck your toes, lift your hips up towards the ceiling, and we'll take a little walking A-frame. Same idea. You should get the theme by now. We're really grooving through the whole body and letting the movement travel through to wherever it wants to go. Maybe you can start coming forward onto the hands a little bit. Rock it back into your A-frame. Keep grooving through. Explore the edges of those curves. continuous feeling of energy through the whole structure. We'll take another pause in this A-frame, rooting the heels towards the ground as much as you can, pressing through your hands, and aiming to stay active here in this shape. Try not to dump into anything. And bend your knees and walk your feet forward. Take them as wide as your mat. And we're going to continue with that exploration. We're moving through the hips a little bit more now, working the legs a little bit. See what happens with the spine if you move the legs. See what happens with the legs if you move the spine. How does the head respond to all of this? Start to take a little bit of a deeper squat and explore that depth. What happens down there? Can you lift a heel? Can you lift your toes? And then take the pelvis back up. Keep the movement traveling through the whole structure. Make this work for you. Moving back down into a squat. Keep on shifting through the body. Hips lift up one more time. Check it out. And we'll move down into that squat for another round. Keep grooving through. What happens if you lift the chest? Keep the pelvis low. And then nod your chin down towards your chest. Stay in the depth of the squat. If your heels are lifted, it's okay. Just take a moment down into that deep flexion of the hip joint with that flexion of the spine forward. Breathe. Feel the ribs expand as you inhale, and then exhale, lift the pelvis, walk the feet a little bit closer, so a little bit more underneath the hip joints, underneath the pelvis, and keep grooving. Now we're just letting the head kind of balance in line with the pelvis, but still drawing energy up through the feet and the legs, allowing the arms to kind of pick up on some of that grooviness, and you're going to roll up to stand. Keep moving into those curves, yeah? So you're really exploring all the possibilities, and start to move back down so that the fingers brush the floor, and roll yourself back up to stand, constantly shifting through the body. Feel the weight change. Notice how it travels up the back into the arms and the head, and you'll take another roll down all the way, head below the heart. Good. One last time. We're rolling up. Keep shifting through, and you're almost noodling through the body. You're going to stay standing, and this time you're going to noodle your arms up towards the sky. Keep aiming to travel through the feet, through the body, up to the fingers. I hope that makes sense. And then stretch, and then noodle the arms back down alongside you. Still drawing from the feet. Good. And we go again, noodling the arms. Almost like your arms become an extension. They're like paintbrushes. You've got paintbrushes in your hands, and you're painting beautiful spirals and swirls on almost like a 3D canvas. Good. One more, and then noodle. Keep shifting through the whole body. It's not just the arms. Stretch the arms. Feel yourself kind of being pulled into opposite directions. And let the arms come down. And we will close the session by just placing the hands just underneath the belly button, and I'd like you to take a moment standing and feeling what the body is saying after all that beautiful exploration and license to just move and groove into all your edges, and breathing easily. open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me for this Feel Good Flow. I hope it was good and groovy, and I hope to see you again, move with you again. Lots of love. Keep well.